You've mentioned the dreaded tax word. You have, of course, come out and criticised the federal government, Canberra's decision to impose the GST on Amazon online sales. A counter-argument to that is that the multinationals in particular, and especially in the e-commerce field, should pay acceptable levels of tax in this country to lessen the burden on you and me in our tax bill. Yet your criticism of it seems to go counter to that argument. How do you explain your view on it?
Yeah, well, if we're talking about GST on on online retailers specifically, it's more about the unintended consequence of that. So, the government plans to raise money by applying GST to these businesses, which they may raise some money, but the unintended consequence is that consumers have less choice and consumers will pay more for their products. Making the argument that if we apply GST to someone like Amazon, that makes Amazon pay their fair share. Well, Amazon doesn't pay the GST, the consumers do, right? They'll just add 10% onto whatever goods they sell to Australians. In Amazon's case, though, they've decided compliance is too much of a hassle, so they've shut down their US website to Australians. But a lot of the time, these taxes on corporations, they're normally paid by consumers or they're paid by employees through reduced hours and reduced wages. In the case of online retailers, it's just an issue of compliance. It's too complex. It's too difficult for a lot of these people to apply these fees, so they just remove themselves from the market because it's not worth it. You might see it with some larger retailers who decide that they want to continue selling in Australia. They'll apply GST. But there are a lot of small online retailers who have a lot of trouble complying with this, and they'll remove themselves from the market entirely. In terms of taxation more generally, people talk about multinationals siphoning money out of Australia. It's a bit of a sort of misleading line, I think. It's not like the money is going to leave Australia and we're going to be poorer as a result. If people are making money in Australia, making Australian dollars, well, they're not going to spend those in another country. They have to spend them in Australia, right? You can't spend Australian currency in another country. So the money is always, eventually makes its way back here anyway. But all those people are doing really is providing essential goods and services here that people want. If you don't like those companies, you don't have to patronise them. You don't have to be a customer of them. You can boycott them and buy stuff from an Australian company if you like. The tax debate in Australia has been a bit weird. It's arguments about companies paying no tax. They're normally misleading. They do pay tax. It's just that they may make a loss in 1 or 2 years and then they don't pay income tax during those years, and they'll pay it in the in the outer years when they start to turn a profit again. It's common. It happens a lot. It's all in compliance with our tax code. If anyone has a problem with it, they can always write a letter to the ATO. But the reality is a lot of these guys aren't breaking the law. They're just not turning a profit in that particular year.
I suppose it's just an emotive issue and seeing that everyone has to pay tax from small to big.
Yeah.
It's a view that we all have a view on it, and every political side party has a view on it. And at the nub of that seems to be ensuring that there's some equity or quality in some tax treatment.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we have a progressive tax rate already where high income earners already pay the majority of tax. I think if you factor in things like welfare and subsidies, about half of Australians pay net no tax at all, which is crazy. It's a very unsustainable way to do things. Generally, Liberal Democrats are lower tax. We'd like to see most taxes, brought down or removed entirely at the state level. Things like payroll tax are perverse in my view. Payroll tax is, a tax on a company's payroll. It's a tax on their employment, on their jobs. If we're trying to promote employment in the state, reducing payroll is the first step in my view. But things like income tax, Liberal Democrats have long held that should be reduced. Bring it down, make it a flat rate if possible. Corporate taxes are a funny thing. Everyone gets emotive about corporations. They see them as some kind of abstraction. Corporation is made up of people, and they're the ones that are ultimately paying taxes. Even the CEOs are still paying taxes on their income. But you tax corporations out of existence, you lose jobs, you lose investment in the country, and we have to compete on the international level. But we want to see taxes lowered pretty much across all brackets for all things. Reduce payroll tax, reduce stamp duty, reduce personal income tax, reduce corporate tax. There are a lot of things the government wastes money on. We can cut those things and reduce taxes at the same time and balance the books.